We're going to say hi forever. Oh, hey, Internet, how's it going? This week, Comcast customer service is so bad they can make a recording of a phone call go viral. Believe me, that's not easy. Concerned about spying, Germany is turning to the ultimate hacker-proof communication technology, a typewriter. And our very own James Bruce, concerned that you all don't consider him a real gamer, is going to tell you his favorite 3 games of all time. I bet they suck.
I bet they are all strategy
suck.
games of some sort or
Oh
another.
God, you right!
Yep, see?
Son,
I know you too well, dog.
sound that doesn't sound like shit. This is a special episode of Technophilia indeed. It's episode 112. My name's Justin Pott. I'm in Boulder, Colorado, and you're listening, believe it or not, to Technophilia. Keep doing that. With me today from the UK, as always, is Mr. James Bruce. How's it
It's
going,
good,
James?
but it's actually episode 122, not 112.
122. Sorry, 22. I 22. We do. Also with me from Connecticut is Mr. Dave LeClaire. Holy crap, that was a weak start by me, wasn't it?
I am indeed from Connecticut, which is a state in the Union
Yeah.
of the United States of America, where we live.
Yeah, everyone knows that, though. I don't know. This is a weird thing, right? Americans just say what state they're from instead of saying from the U.S. because we just, assume everyone knows where that is.
I know I do that, and then I feel
Canadians-
bad. I'm always like,
Yeah.
wait, you don't know that Connecticut is a state, do you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, people know that New York's a state. People know that California is a state. James, did you have any idea that Connecticut even existed before meeting Dave?
Yeah, I thought it was like some little country town for bumpkins.
He pictured it as a town. It's a state. It's got just as many senators as
It
California.
also has a very
It's
large
legit.
population of human peoples living in a very small
That's
area
true.
of land because, the Northeast is just packed with people for no reason.
Yeah. There's so much room out here in Colorado. It's fantastic. But anyways, we got to get to the technology news of the week, which is what we do. And I thought I'd start off with a little rant, okay? Because if my work as a tech journalist has made me famous at all, which I'm certain it hasn't, it's made me famous for being a Luddite. Major newspapers have considered my not owning a smartphone to be newsworthy, if you consider any Canadian major newspaper to be major, that is. So yeah, I'm an idiot, up front. I thought and still think that tablets are a terrible compromise between a laptop, an e-reader, and a smartphone. Too small to be useful to work, too hard on the eyes for long-term reading, and too big to be actually portable. I thought the iPad would bomb, and I'm shocked people ever bought the thing. So yeah, I'm an idiot, and I want to make that obvious up front. But seriously, what the hell is up with smartwatches? We're all being told these are the next big thing, but I'm yet to hear a compelling use case for them. For the most part, the reasoning seems to be that taking your phone out of your pocket is some kind of Herculean task and the biggest burden of the modern world. Yes, consumers are desperate to stop extending their arms into their pockets and unlocking their phones. Just think of it. Without the need to do this, we'd all save valuable seconds every day, glancing at text notifications on our wrists instead of in the palm of our hands. Seriously? Have we gotten to the point where we'll pay hundreds of dollars for the benefit of seeing a notification without having to reach into our pockets? Am I missing something? So far as I know, these devices don't have their own data plans, making them essentially a second screen for your phone with a touchscreen so small you can't really do anything on it. YouTube is full of videos of people using smartwatches to do things like control their TV, and it just looks awkward. Why would anyone want this? One of the major benefits of the iPad, I'm told, is the extreme comfort you get for browsing the couch on the web on your couch, That's a pretty minor thing to pay $600 for, but hey, like I said, I'm an idiot. But if smartwatches are the future, I think I'm okay with my idiocy. James, it sounds like Apple's working on a smartwatch, and I just have to ask, as our resident Apple fanboy, why?
I think you're
Why?
missing something. I think you're missing the fact that these they're sitting right on your wrist, so they could be potentially really good for health monitoring, which is a big thing. I think you're getting confused by the whole watch factor. The fact that you would have this thing on your wrist, reading your pulse, measuring your steps, doing it every second of the day, is probably going to be the selling factor. At least it would be for me.
But they already have devices that do that. They just don't really have.
Not very well.
This
They
is just
don't.
that
No.
with a nicer screen. Okay.
Think about it this way. People pay hundreds
that's
of
it.
dollars for just thousands of dollars for just a watch that looks shiny and pretty. At least this
Yeah.
But
does
that's a different
something.
market, though. They're not going to sell.
That's a totally
Yeah, but-
different market. That's
But
a
why
fashion
can't you
statement.
have
That's,
both?
I mean,
Why not have a smartwatch that is also a fashion statement?
Well, I'm
You know,
guessing
then
that's
you're
what
getting
Apple's going for. Yeah,
because so far every smartwatch on the market is butt ugly. So
Well,
I think that's going to
that's
make
because
it
Apple
more
hasn't
relevant
made
to the
one, right?
market.
Yeah.
It's so far, but that doesn't mean that's not going to change.
Yeah.
And when it does, you
Yeah,
may
maybe.
end up with some pretty cool looking watches that I see people like. They say, "Oh, yeah, I bought this Rolex. I paid 15 grand for it." And I'm like,
You're
your
an
phone
idiot.
tells the time. At least if what if Rolex makes a smartwatch and it has
You know, part of what you're paying for with a Rolex, though, is its permanence, is how long this thing's going to last. And if smartwatches are going to be anything like smartphones, I'm sure that like a 3-year obsolescence plan is part of the deal. So that's a totally different market. We're talking about a consumer good that goes bad quickly compared to a device whose whole marketability is, yes, a fashion statement, but it's this timeless quality, this fact that, you know, if you have a Rolex from 1985, it's not considered an old piece of crap. It's worth almost as much as the day you bought it. It's a totally different
True.
market, Dave.
But what if Rolex makes a smartwatch? Then you have both.
Yeah, but you're still not going to be able to install a new version of Android in 3 years, so it's not going to be permanent in that way. I mean, the thing with these technologies is they're so disposable. The Rolex isn't. I think maybe they could make a smartwatch that's more fashionable, and maybe that will help sell it, but it's going to be fashionable in the sense the iPhone is, which isn't anywhere close to as expensive or as much of a status symbol as a Rolex. It's not.
I think what bothers me most about smartwatches is just the tiny form factor, because the information density of what
Yeah.
you can get on that little screen is completely worthless. It's kind of what worries me about Google Glass as well. Like, it's the same tiny
Yeah.
little screen, really. It can display like an arrow to show you what direction you're going, but it couldn't show you the whole map,
Well,
which
yeah,
is what really
so-
bothers me. What I want is a complete Fallout Pip-Boy on my arm, like a 20-inch
So
screen.
like Leela from Futurama with the screen taking up her whole
Yes,
forearm like
totally.
That's
That
what
I
you're
would do
thinking?
that. That would be
Okay.
useful.
So James wants to throw the fashion
Yeah.
out the window and go strictly to the gaudiest, biggest, funniest looking smartwatch you could ever have, and that's James's goal.
James just went full cyborg. James, you never go full
I'm
cyborg.
a big fan of cyberpunk, actually, and I think something like that would really work.
Cyberpunk, okay. Well, cyberpunk, I mean, that's irrelevant because we're all going to live in virtual reality, and if we want there to be a display on our wrist, we just program that in there, and there's a display on our wrist. Like, that's not as much of an issue, is it? But, okay, so these smartwatches, I mean, what I see when I read about them, it seems to be mostly related to notifications. You hear an email come in, you look at your watch, and then you're like, oh, that's not worth pulling out. That part sounds useless to me. The health monitoring thing does sound useful, but do you really want to look at that constantly throughout the day? Current technology, I can't remember it, but lots of people around town, here certainly, we're a very health conscious, very technologically savvy town, so you see lots of people wearing these bracelets, and they track your health, but you take it home, or you put it on top of your phone, and the phone, I mean, the new iOS, and I think Android too, has a lot of features specifically related
Yeah,
to
the health
talking to
kit.
these things, right?
But that's going to be talking to their watch as well. I mean, that'll be a part of HealthKit. That'll be integral to it.
So someone in the chat room, James Fan Association, is saying smartphones have a valid use case. What will you do when your smartphone gets stolen? Really? We're going to have another device on us just in case one of them gets stolen?
Yeah, but that won't work because it won't have
Pretend-
a data plan on it.
Well, that's the other point. These smartphones don't have dedicated data plans. They
Watches.
have a Bluetooth connection to your phone. Sorry, these smartwatches. They're basically a second screen for your phone, right?
For
Yeah,
now.
I think the whole notifications thing is a bit of a red herring, really. I think that's just what they can think of doing with them for now. Or you might as well.
I
have
do
it,
think
but-
I do see the benefit of having something attached to your wrist, constantly collecting health and GPS data. If you're the NSA and you want to know how everyone's doing because you're sincerely
Or if you
concerned.
have kids.
Which brings us.
I backed one of these.
Oh, yeah.
What was it called? The Hero GPS watch, which was it's for review, not for me to attach to my 3-week-old son. It's basically a GPS tracking device that you attach to your kids, and it looks like a really child-loving smartwatch kind of thing, but it's like a really happy, friendly colors and stuff. And it's basically a GPS tracker, which I think is cool. I would totally get my son an
See-
iPhone watch if I could track him.
Okay, man. We're gonna have so much fun watching your son grow up in various states of being.
Oh, he's going to be so messed up,
recorded.
isn't he? All right.
He's going to be a messed up kid. but I'm sure he's going to be adorable.
Yeah, I'm sure that kid. How's your son doing, James?
Well, he's still a baby. He hasn't got out of that stage yet, I'm afraid.
He's not. You don't find babies all that interesting.
I really don't. No.
Yeah,
So he's not talking and walking
enough,
and
dude.
wanting his world
that's-
domination yet. I mean,
No. I would be.
Moving right along here. Sorry, I just had to cut off the dad talk, I guess. Blogger Ryan Block tried to cancel Comcast, and Comcast wasn't having it. If you haven't yet, you should go to SoundCloud and listen to it. You can just Google Comcastic service. Can we play a little bit of this now? Can you do that, Dave?
sure.
Just go ahead and click it and play it. But basically, he was on the phone for 10 minutes before he started recording, and Comcast really didn't want to let him go. They wanted to keep him forever. It's like overhearing the worst breakup you've heard in your life. He just desperately wants to keep him on. He's like, I don't understand. Why would you switch to a company with worse internet? It's, 3 million people have listened to this.
Do we know if this was like an official Comcast tactic, or if it's just this particular retention agent was being a complete... I can't... Well, we need to stop swearing. I can't say that word.
Maybe it was her last day on the job, and she was
Is-
just like, you know what? F you, Comcast. I'm going to go and be a jerk to these customers, and I'm going to screw with them.
Now, there was a conversation on Reddit, and I can't cite this, but someone said, I've worked in customer retention, and you basically lose your hourly salary for any hour where you let someone quit.
Wow. No.
Like, you lose money in some cases if you let someone quit.
Well, that's
So, like,
illegal.
if you let someone quit without gathering all the information. Maybe it's illegal in the UK.
It's
I have
usually-
no idea,
it's
though.
Probably
usually
what he means
more-
is you don't get the retention bonus
Yeah, it's usually
if you let them
like
go.
at AT&T it was you get a commission bonus for keeping them, so you are figuratively losing your salary if you don't
Sure.
keep them.
Sure. So there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, we used to do, like, I worked at an AT&T retail store, and we used to do, like, minor retention, but if it got really bad, we'd send them to the actual specialist, but we weren't commissioned for that or anything. But, yeah, we used to try to do some retention, but, see, I guess maybe it's hard to say because I didn't have the motivation that they have, because if they left, I really didn't care.
Yeah. And this is just extreme, though. I don't know if you... It's so long, and he's just... I don't understand. Just explain to me why you want to switch to slower internet. Just tell me why. And eventually he's like, I don't need to explain anything to you. Can you cut me off? And they weren't having it. They weren't having it. So whatever the reason is, this has gone... I've never seen a piece of audio go this viral. It's amazing to me. And I think it just shows the pent-up frustration people have with companies like Comcast. And I'm sure Comcast is going to put out a statement saying that this isn't normal. But in order to hear it, we're going to have someone stop by our house between the hours of 3 and 4 sometime this Sunday.
Good old
I've
Comcast.
got to be sympathetic, though, because he was actually offering like $100 off of his monthly bill. Like, you're not going to get a better offer somewhere else, are you? In all honesty.
Yeah. You're really not, but he didn't say why he was switching. I suspect that it's more of an ethics thing, because Comcast is basically evil at this point, and you want to switch to someone who's not actively lobbying to destroy the internet. I'm thinking that might have been the actual reason, but he doesn't have to tell a customer service agent that. He just doesn't.
I mean, it could have just been that
wouldn't
he's cord cutting, He could have just been like, I don't want... Well, no, he wouldn't be able to cord cut internet, would he? So...
I don't understand
No,
why
he's
the
still-
caller was being a bit of a dick about it, though, to be honest. Like, if they say,
I
why
didn't
are you
think the
quitting?
caller was being a dick. I thought he was being remarkably calm. This is what he wanted. He doesn't owe them an
He
explanation.
was being
The
calm, but
conversation had already gone on
passive-aggressive.
10
Like,
minutes at that point.
why would you not tell them a reason? It would just to make them shut up.
I am 100% certain. I am 100% certain, James, that in the same situation you wouldn't be stubborn at all, because you've never been stubborn about anything in your entire life. So you've got a good point there. You really are standing on
James
solid
is
ground
known
with
for
that
being
argument.
level-headed in all situations.
Yeah.
There's never
Yeah, but I
any
would
sarcasm.
never,
He just would have been like,
You would never what?
I'm not
Yeah.
excited in the slightest.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I
Right.
tried to close a bank account the other day, and they wrote me back saying we can't close it because there are outstanding charges on your account. So I phoned them up, and it turns out I owed them 2 pence, which is what, 4 cents.
what, really?
And this customer, credit to the customer service agent, she was great. That's exactly what they should be doing. And I left the call feeling good.
Well, that's because they didn't say, why do you want to leave? We're going to offer you
They
better interest.
did, and I told
That
them
other bank's a piece
because
of
I'm
crap.
not a dick and they have a job to do and I have a thing that I want to get done, so why wouldn't I tell them?
So, see, I listened to this and I was shocked at how calm Ryan was. It's not just that the guy's trying to do his job, though that's a certain point, but he doesn't have to be such a dick about it. So maybe you're right. Maybe Ryan was being too passive-aggressive. I think he handled it about as well as he could. I don't know what else to say. Should we move on right away? Because this story is making a lot of people remember why they don't like Comcast, remember why they desperately want Google or someone else to come into their town with fiber and offer a choice in internet connections. And that reminds me that the FCC has extended the deadline for net neutrality submissions. If you want to tell them to reclassify ISPs as public utilities, and you still have a chance to do that, go now, go now, go now.
What, like,
No,
because
don't tell me what to
done it
do.
already?
What? Maybe don't. I mean, so far, 750,000 people have done this, though the FCC did reduce that number. I don't know if it's because they lost half the submissions or what. No idea, but they did. Yeah.
Like, is that not enough to... They're just waiting in case some other views come in, are they? Some other opinions. They want a different opinion. So they're like, yeah,
There's going to
make
be
it
one
longer.
person who says, I think we should give Comcast control over the executive branch.
That's it. Let's do it.
FCC's like, you know what? This one. I like this one. Okay. See, we got a diverse range of opinions, and we've decided that we don't need a president anymore. We're going to put Comcast in charge of the country. Good. Okay. I'm glad that's all settled. We figured that out. Yeah, that's probably what they're waiting for. Oh, crap. Someone's going to
They just couldn't believe how long it took to get that. They're like, I thought that's what everybody wanted. I thought the internet was begging for this to happen, and it's just not.
Oh, dear.
Democratic National Convention, Comcast, the corporation, stands up and says, I am proud to accept the nomination for president. And everyone's like, oh,
I want to
crap.
quit the United States. Well, I'm sorry, but why do you want to go to a country with worse United Statesness?
Do you know that we're the only country with a decent American football team? Well, that's because no one else plays. Yeah, well, why would you want to leave? We're the best.
Oh, man, Comcast. I love
Fantastic.
the United States of Comcast. It's my favorite country.
Could you imagine Comcast improving the IRS for the better? That would just be fantastic. The United States of Comcast.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, just put them in charge. Just put them in charge. Put them in charge of everything. If they're allowed to ruin the internet, why leave it at that? Why not put them in charge of foreign policy? You know? Yeah. Why not? Let's just do this. Let's put the cable companies in charge of everything. I think that's the best solution here. So that's clearly what the FCC is waiting for. We'll see. Let's move on from the FCC and Comcast to another organization we maybe don't show as much respect as they deserve. Microsoft. Windows 9 is going to disable the Metro screen, alternately known as the Windows 8 screen, because they can't use the word Metro, but no one knows a better thing to call it. Anyways, you're not going to see it by default. You're going to boot to the desktop. You're going to have a start menu. We're talking one step forward, two steps back for the company, right, James?
I think we should just have a party because they're basically killing Metro. It's not going to be enabled by default, and all of the Metro apps will be launching on the desktop in Windows, which is great. We can party.
The Metro apps still exist. They're just not going to be.
Well, they still exist because they're just they're Windows apps.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to do away with the work
presumably
people did making those apps, so they'll still just be apps. They'll just be regular.
And there's still going to be a Windows App Store. That's not going away. And there's still a new kind of Windows programming. But now it's actually as a Windows.
And there's still going to be Windows tablets that presumably favor these apps, because I think they do run better on Windows tablets, because they're very clearly touchscreen oriented. But desktop users don't care about that.
Yeah, it doesn't say much about tablet devices here.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, Microsoft is still really pushing the tablets.
Well, they can push them all they want.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I did during the World Cup, and their pitch is basically, it's a tablet you can actually do work on. I'm not sure how many people care about that, but I could see it reaching some people. I don't know. Presumably someone's bought one of these things.
I think the only people who have bought them are the people who are using them for product placement on TV shows. 'Cause that thing is in, like, that's in every show, man.
It sure feels like it. Oh, I love it. I love it when the people on the TV shows, they get out their tablet and it never shows what they want to show first. It shows the Windows start screen and then they tap it and then it launches straight into the photo they wanted to show in the first place. I'm like, wait, what app is this that's launching directly in the photo you're trying to show
last
me?
night,
Last night
I was watching Under the Dome, which is that Stephen King show, and
Yeah.
they did the whole. He pulled out his tablet, and then he did the little clicky thing and folded down. It was like, a surface. So he pulled the little stand out the back and did the clicky thing. Then the camera panned around, and it showed the start screen, and he hit this thing, and then it worked.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
like, I wonder what kind of tablet they're going to be using. And then sure enough, chook, 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 he pulls out his Surface and does his little bullshit transforming of it.
Or I think it was Parks and Rec where someone was working on their computer, but they were just staring at the Windows Start screen because they so desperately wanted people to see this Windows Start screen.
Is there a new season of Under the Dome? Am I missing something?
I didn't get any of that, James.
Is there a new season of Under the Dome?
Yeah, Under the Dome is on right now, the season 2. Yes, it is 3 episodes in.
That's awesome. I need to watch that.
There you go.
That show is good, right? You like it?
I love Under the Dome. Yeah.
James's internet is
James.
messed up right now. So for
So
people
I had to
watching,
plug my charger in. It's launched iTunes, which then tried to intercept everything coming from the phone. You know how it is.
iTunes, what a piece of shit. See, we can badmouth Windows all we want, but iTunes is still a piece of garbage.
Oh, totally agree.
Honestly, what do you use to manage music if it's not iTunes? What alternative do you have apart from putting it in folders?
Folders are so much
It's
better than
not
iTunes.
1990
I have an Alfred
anymore,
script
okay?
I wrote myself. And I just type play and then I name the album and it plays. That's it.
I assume. Can you also narrow it down by like genre or date of creation or whatever?
No, I can't, but I never...
Do you have like a play count where you can do like most plays? Like you're all down on iTunes, but I don't see an alternative. Not when
Yeah,
you
but
have
it's such a
8,000
system
songs.
hog.
You know what? The thing with iTunes is if they separated it so it was just a player, and then they had another program that was like the iPad, iPhone, iPod management app, I think half my complaints would go away. I mean, iTunes is what, 300 megabytes at this point? So yeah, it's a good audio player. It's more than I need in an audio player, but some people do like it. I just want to play albums, and waiting for iTunes to load doesn't make me happy.
I use Spotify, and that solves all of my problems.
No, it doesn't.
You have a subscription, right?
All my problems.
Why not?
Never
It
had a
only
problem.
solves all your problems if all you listen to is popular music.
Literally everything that I listen to, including weird-ass underground metal bands, is on Spotify.
Yeah. Maybe it's different where you are, James, but I don't know where that comes
Yeah, I
from.
don't have to listen
much
to
of
it.
anything.
I have like a ton of obscure Japanese music, none of which I can find on Spotify.
Yeah,
Well-
that doesn't surprise me, but
Okay.
Well,
I
yeah,
listen
forgive me
to-
for liking music from another country. It's like I get completely screwed when I try and use any online service like that. It just
Well-
doesn't work.
Maybe if you move to Japan.
Well, then I wouldn't have access to anything else, would I?
I mean, the problem is it's not worth it for Spotify to pay the licenses to get those songs in for the 4 people who would want to listen to them.
Yeah. You and the rest of the anime club downtown.
But-
Oh my god, I don't listen to any anime.
You can find some pretty underground stuff that is not. I've yet to encounter something and be like, oh, it's not on Spotify. That sucks. Everything I've wanted to listen to is
It's
there.
just like-
so.
But some really like the Beatles, I don't think are
That's
on
true.
Spotify. So a lot of the really popular stuff isn't yet. So I think it's like the
The
opposite.
Beatles have that weird
There's
thing
lots of
where they
stuff
don't.
like
They took them forever just to get that on iTunes, where they actually just straight up sell it.
If you were making tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars every year selling your music for decades, would you be like, okay, now we're going to switch to this model? No, you're going to be slow
Well, you can
about
use
that.
both, though. I
makes
mean,
sense.
just because you use Spotify doesn't mean your album's not going to sell. Not everybody pays the $10 a month to get ad free and all that. You know what I mean? So
No, but a lot of people will, if they can't get it on Spotify, buy it because they want to listen to it that badly.
Or they'll pirate it.
Some people. That's why. Sure.
No.
But pirating stuff's a minority still. It's not a majority activity. Yeah.
anyway, how do we get on this rant? What the hell? Where are we?
Who knows? We were talking about Windows 9. This is part of the appeal of the show, isn't it? Let's move right along, though, because if there's something we like less than the Metro screen, it's probably this app, Yo, which just lets you send one message to your friend, and it just says Yo. I don't get the point, but some people have. It's like poking on Facebook we established before. There's a new app. It's called Ping. What's this one do, James?
So this one, you tap on your phone, and it pings all your friends. Like, that's it.
That's it?
All
That's
of them?
it.
That's it.
No, but here's the selling point. It's 4 times faster than Yo.
What? Okay. So it's just like you're sitting in your room, you feel the existential angst of being alone because there's no one in your house right now, and you have this desperate need to feel connected to a broader part of the human race deep in your soul.
So you double tap your phone.
So you reach for your smartphone, like any sane person would do, and you hit a button. It sends a little ping sound to every one of your friends, and then one of them pings back, and you're reminded that you are connected, however loosely, to other human beings. And then you go back to watching Netflix because you're validated. I think this is reaching some kind of deep spiritual need, James. I think you're being mean to discount its
I
value.
absolutely am.
I saw a thing that said that
Yeah.
the ping was being used in like Israel for bomb, or Yo was being used in Israel for like bomb things or something.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
Google
Really? Well, you can use anything.
Google Yo bomb something, and something should come up. I don't know.
I mean, you could use anything.
Yeah, there we go.
with all
Minimalist
chat. That's-
Yo app used
Used
to warn of
missile strikes.
strikes.
Well, how do you know if
Just
someone's
warn
just
them
yelling
of
you or
strikes?
telling you you're about to get killed by a missile?
Because it comes from the Israel government account, not like it's not just like a random person.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like
So
official.
the government sends
So
you a
all this
yo if
is-
it's going to bomb you, or...
No, they're not
There's an
going to
update.
bomb you. It's
No, no, no,
like,
you know what I mean. Well, they are effectively by
Palestine is
bringing
going
it
to
on,
bomb
but
you.
anyway. Right.
Yo, I'm bombing Tel Aviv. So, no.
Oh, well, I guess I mean,
That's
that's kind
not
of like the Japanese early warning quake system thing,
Yeah.
where they'll send you a little text message.
Except-
Only I wouldn't want a yo for that. I'd want a
Yo!
bomb is about to hit you.
Yeah, but if an earthquake was coming and
Yeah, the
somebody
text
was like,
message seems a
yo,
little
you'd be
better.
like, oh shit, earthquake, gotta run, and then you'd know,
So instead
yo.
of sending messages, we're now creating a new account for every possible situation, and then
Yeah.
going to be sending a yo
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah. And then
Well, this is stupid.
If you've signed up to get those
And then if you get a
yos-
ping from the government, it means that they ran out of money and now we are in another Great Depression. So that's
There we go.
Don't want to get a ping.
Don't want to get a ping.
I can't believe the Israeli government, while dealing with all this, someone working for them took the time to set up this Yo account. That's just...
Hey,
Probably a
yo,
startup. Israel has tons of startups.
Maybe
it's
it
crazy.
saved lives. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe Yo is an Israeli startup.
That could be it.
That word startup, I kind of
Yo,
hate it.
we're disrupting, bro.
But-
We're disrupting.
Everyone who works on a startup pictures themselves as Apple, right? You hear about how if you're Jobs or Wozniak, all these people are dreaming that someday they're going to be a multi-billion-dollar corporation that started small and worked big, and Apple certainly had that reputation early on. In fact, their famous 1984 ad was all about how they're going to be less monolithic, less evil than the supergiant corporation that was making computers at the time, IBM. Fast forward 30 years, and Apple is probably the single biggest company on the planet by some metrics, and now they're partnering with their current mortal enemy, IBM, to work into the enterprise marketplace. We are talking about apps made for the Apple's smartphone platforms, not the Mac, specifically to give them access to IBM's enterprise quality software and data. And IBM's going to start selling iPhones and iPads to businesses with their software pre-installed on it. So this is a huge thing for Apple. They're basically going to replace BlackBerry as the official phone of Fortune 500 companies. Though, as some people have pointed out, they basically already have. Most Fortune 500 companies are already using BlackBerry, but this is still huge. We talk a lot about Apple as a consumer company, but for businesses, selling phones is a pretty big deal.
But Apple is really
So,
not
yeah.
that evil compared to a lot of other companies in the world. There's worse.
Well, why is that?
They don't do anything that really pisses people off that much.
They're
Unless
trying to
it's-
make life fun, unlike Google, which is trying to
Hey,
monetize life.
I like Google too.
I don't like Google.
What's wrong with Google? They make cars that drive themselves, and they make glasses that have magic in them. Magic, James. Magic.
Yeah. I mean, Google has a reputation as a fun company, and I bet 15 years ago it would have been a really fun place to work. But the culture there seems to be, what can we do to make Google Plus work?
Not anymore.
It just seems to have...
They've backed down on the Google Plus nonsense quite a bit.
To a certain extent. I mean,
Didn't they cut the time that people had to dedicate to personal projects now as well? It's like, used to be 20%, and it's like been cut down to 15 or 10 or something.
No, so it's a transition you have to make when you're a small company that's changing the world to when you're one of the biggest companies on the face of the earth. And Google, I think, is struggling with that transition. They don't know who the hell they are anymore. So they're just trying to create small companies within, right? And that worked for a long time. That's where Maps and Gmail and all these weird things came from. But now they're realizing that, hey, this is a mess. Only search is making money. And we're just throwing a bunch of crap at the wall with absolutely everything else. So they're trying to bring everything under one united fold, but all the users hate the united product they're presenting and love the individual projects. Gmail's the best email interface I've found. I try using desktop ones from time to time. Gmail's better. I can't find anything better. That's my personal opinion, of course. But, they keep tweaking all these products. So now every time I log into Gmail, I have to see this Google Plus notification there. I don't want it there. Google 10 years ago would have had an option to turn it off. Google now sees its users as something they can use. That's the difference. Apple doesn't see its users as something they can use. They see their users as someone who's going to pay them tons of money constantly. Google offers everything for free, so they have to exploit their users to a certain extent. Same thing with Facebook. So, in as much that Apple isn't evil, they're not evil because they charge so damn much for their products that they don't have to be.
That's fair.
What are you doing?
That's the dog. Sorry, he's squiggling.
Oh, okay. We can't see each other this week, even though you can see us now.
Well, why don't you turn your video on, then we might be able to see you.
I could see James.
Oh.
I see him looking sexy right now. Yeah.
Turn your video on, Justin.
Now, see, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know. I thought everyone was off.
I got a second webcam hooked up. See, that's how much we love you guys and how dedicated we are to this product of awesomeness. I have 2 webcams in front of me right now. Do you know how much? Do you know how much the NSA is watching? They could see me from 2 different freaking angles. Yeah. It's like...
I have 2 webcams on, and I've got a camcorder on just in case one of these
NSA is all over us right now. Yeah. I mean, we might as well just put a sign on our shirt that says, like, watch us, bitches, but that's what we do for you guys.
We love you guys.
So we do 3 webcams next week. Get some multi-angle stuff.
Do 3 webcams?
We should have one from behind us so they can see the backs of our heads.
Oh, no, you don't want to see the back of my head. That's terrible.
It's very shiny. I like it.
So, chat room this week, after all the outcry that we'd get rid of the live show, everyone decided to respond by not showing up for the live show we're continuing.
Yeah, they start.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We're doing this work for you, though. We're going to keep doing it.
It's not really any more work to do the live show, so... If you're watching this in the video format or listening in the audio format, we should remind you that we do have a live show, but the quality is nowhere near as good as what you're seeing right now or listening to right now. But it is live.
And there's a chat room, and we'll respond to the things you say. So that's what's going on there. Moving right along, gentlemen, from one mega corporation to another, General Electric is working on something I can't figure out if it's genius or moronic. And I kind of wanted your help figuring this out. It's a calorie counter. You can see a picture of it here on NPR. You put it over top of a device, and it tells you how many over top of a meal, and it tells you how many calories are in there.
I'm going.
What's wrong with that? There are entire apps dedicated to figuring out what's in your food. That's genius.
But those depend on you trusting the calorie information you're getting from the companies making the stuff. This is actually scanning the food and telling you about the calorie contents inside. Totally different.
Well, I know I lost like 50 pounds counting calories.
You don't have to waste your time looking things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you count calories with actual accuracy, because I lost like 50 pounds counting calories using apps and just relying on the nutritional information. So if I could have had this when I was on a diet and losing weight, it would have been a hell of a lot better.
So I don't know you that well, Dave. Like, I've never seen you in person. I only see your face on the webcam base.
I'm a fat bastard. I could do with this.
I don't know where you would find 50 pounds to lose. Where were you storing
Right here. And now there's a lot less of it.
Okay, fair enough. So, pretty awesome. Americans, the article points out, spend $60 billion a year on diet and weight loss products, and it's easy to argue that this would be one of the best ever. My main problem is the thing's so friggin' huge right now. I don't know if people are going to want to lug that to a restaurant to check the calorie count before they eat stuff. And when you have the food in front of you, it's generally too late to figure out how many calories are in it, right? But if you do a lot of cooking at home and you want an accurate look at how different things are affecting the calorie count of your food, could be a good idea. I still think gadgets for the purposes of losing weight are overrated. Just exercise and eat less. But maybe I'm just blessed with a good metabolism, and as such can say that.
That's racist.
But still, kind of reminds me of Star Trek, this idea that we can scan our food to get our calorie count. I would like scanning technology to become more common, but I'm going to want shields because I don't want you scanning me, James.
I think they should put this into a smartwatch.
Well, right, that's not going to be possible right now because it's got these big.
No, but that would be cool in the future. I'll put it on my Pip-Boy and I'll point it at something and be like, tell me how many calories, and it'll do it.
James is going to be going up to the waitress at McDonald's and they're like, your website says that this only had 300 calories and I just scanned it with my smartwatch and it's clearly 350 calories. Can I have all of my money back? And the guy's just like, dude, I gave you extra fries. I'm sorry.
You genuinely think I go to McDonald's? Oh my god. I would not be seen dead in McDonald's.
No? Where do you like to eat? Just at home?
At home, yeah. I don't go out to eat.
Yeah. Me too. I said McDonald's literally because I couldn't think of a restaurant off the top of my head.
Well, we all know James likes to go to Pizza Hut thanks to his Twitter feed. So.
I don't go to Pizza Hut.
He doesn't. He orders
yeah. And that's only because they're free, in fairness.
You should never follow James Bruce on Twitter or Facebook for that matter because it's all just him testing stuff that his Raspberry Pi can tweet about. And sometimes he orders pizza, and you find out about it. You're the worst friggin' person on Twitter.
And yes, I have over 500 followers. Ha!
It's the worst. It's terrible. Speaking of followers on Twitter, oh man. There's this site. I'm not even going to name it. It's selling the email address and Twitter handles of famous bloggers. And I'm over the moon about it, because I'm on this list and James isn't.
How do you find out if you're on the list? I want to know.
I signed up for the service. I put a screenshot up on the company Slack. It's on off topic.
Am I on the list?
You're not.
Bullshit!
You're not. It's just me. It's just me. Okay, so on the list is Mark, Psycat, Matt Hughes, me, Kihara, Dave Parak, Akshanta, Angela, Joshua, and Ryan.
How is Matthew on the list? He's only been at the site for like 2 months.
Ah, but his articles are
No, they're
awesome.
not. They're garbage.
Yeah.
He's garbage.
What are you talking about?
Any of these new
Screw
writers
that
on
guy.
the
I'm
list.
going to punch him in his face.
Most of them aren't even product reviewers, and we do.
What?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. No, it seems completely arbitrary who they picked here. It's fantastic. I'm thinking MakeUseOf.com made the list just because our emails are easy enough to find. Because if you look right below us, it's like a Mashable and the Los Angeles Times and the New York Times, and then it's just us. But it's not even like, I don't know. I don't know how they picked.
Yeah, I
these
saw
people.
TechCrunch.
I mean, it's obvious why I'm on the list because I'm a famous Luddite. But
I'm gonna write and
I
complain.
don't know, man. This is pretty funny though. Matt Hughes was. You're gonna write and go. Can't believe
Seriously,
you're
isn't
not
that
telling people
complaints
to
form
spam.
where I
So
can
the
write
idea
to
of
these
this
idiots?
site is you sign up. You're gonna complain that you're not on this list of people to spam. That's what you're doing.
Yes, that's what he's doing.
So it's kind
I'm
of
gonna complain that they don't think I'm important enough to put on this list.
To be...
That's really going to make you seem important, James, if you take the time to complain about that. They're really going to take you seriously.
And also, you are very unimportant, James, to be fair. I mean, you are incredibly useless.
I'd just as soon not be on the list because I've definitely got an uptick in spam, which tells me people are actually paying $9 a month to get this email list, which is ridiculous because you can go to makeuseof.com/about and get my email address right now. Go ahead, do it. Send me a picture of a rabbit. I dare you, technophiliacs. I dare you. Who cares, James? Don't complain about that. You're not that small. You're awesome. You don't need to be on some website to feel validated. Keep doing good work.
But James doesn't do good work.
Speaking...
Aww.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of good work, though, Germany. Germany knows a thing or two about working. And they know a thing or two about spies. They've got it in their history. Spies, espionage, government, overreach. So they're a little bit concerned about what America's doing in terms of spying on them. So much so that they are contemplating a switch to typewriters for security reasons. The idea being that typewriters can't be hacked and anything you write on them is not monitored. James, have you finished your do-it-yourself keyboard or typewriter keylogger yet? How's that going?
I'm pretty sure you can do it. I remember there was a project which listened into the keystrokes of a keyboard to figure out the sound dynamics would figure out what you're typing. So if you can do that with a keyboard, I'm pretty sure you could do that with a typewriter.
I mean, at some point we're all going to have fly-sized drones that just look like flies and can fly into a room. And, every company's going to have a corporate fly swatter whose job it is to swat all the flies. On the off chance that one of them is a drone, right? So, I think secrecy is just a thing of the past, unfortunately. I don't know. Even a switch to typewriters. All my brain does when I hear this is think of ways to hack that. I mean, we covered in the past how in the 70s people would physically break into buildings and steal documents. That does seem like a lot of work to a modern person, but it is possible. But, I don't know, good on them for trying to think of something. Makes sense to me. Dave?
I agree.
Dave with the analysis. Maybe we need to change gears here, get to gaming. But there's one more thing I thought I'd go over first. There was, over the weekend, an unofficial convention of Tumblr users. Tumblr's not a site I use that much. Are you two guys into Tumblr?
I tried to get into it, but I just couldn't find a use for it. I don't know what.
Isn't Tumblr just porn?
I think...
No, it's microblogging or something. Yeah.
People basically just post pictures of porn. That's basically what it is, right?
I think, like most social networks, what you think is there is based on what you personally use.
Oh, burn!
Yeah.
No comment.
Maybe that's what you search for on Google, and then you notice, oh, Tumblr, that always has good porn, and then you just scroll through. I don't know. I'm not commenting on your personal life, James. But there's a lot... I think people in our demographic are probably too old to be using the Tumblrs. The Tumblrs is a young person's game. And we're old dudes.
It's
old,
just like Instagram. We don't get it. Those little whippersnappers and their damn tumbling everything and shit.
Instance and the gram.
Back in my day, we only had 140 characters to say what we wanted to say. Now this Tumblr shit comes along to say as many characters as you want. What the hell is this? That's how I feel about Tumblr.
Yeah, so that's how we feel about Tumblr. But a lot of people are really passionate about it, and it's particularly used by fans of certain things. And DashCon was kind of a convention of fans of a whole bunch of stuff. Most prominently, a podcast called Night Vale. Are you guys familiar with Night Vale?
No.
It's like a really creepy horror podcast. I haven't listened to it as much as I should. It's apparently just phenomenal. So the people who work on Night Vale were supposed to be at this convention. They didn't show up. The convention, turns out they needed to pay $17,000 from the hotel because the hotel was not confident they'd have enough money, so they wouldn't let them in until they got $17,000. So they asked the people who showed up to pitch in, and then they did. So, they got in the hotel room. And yeah, Night Vale didn't show up because apparently their flight and board wasn't covered, so they're just like, sorry, we can't make it. So people were mad that the whole reason they went to the conference wasn't there, but they found a way to placate them. They offered everyone who wanted to see Night Vale an extra hour in the ball pit. And I don't know if you're looking at this right now. This is the saddest freaking ball in the history of the human race. It's basically a kiddie pool in the middle of this inexplicably large room. And this became a huge meme over the weekend. So, I don't know, it leads to... Tumblr's a great place where people meet, completely without any structure, right? It's kind of like Reddit in that way. There's not a lot of organization. But trying to turn that into an organization is a ton of work, and it's clear the organizers of DashCon didn't realize how much work it is. Anyways, you can find tons of photos of people happy in their ball pit. Someone on 4chan even made a ball pit simulator.
Of course they did.
It went that far. It's just a little Unity 3D game. You can walk up to the ball pit and go in. That's about it. And then it after like 3 minutes says, please pay $17,000 for more ball pit time. So anyways, bit of a disaster of a conference, I guess. Hopefully they've learned some lessons going forward. But you know what? It's pretty hard to take something that works on the internet and make it work in real life. I think that's the lesson here. God knows a Technophilia convention would be a shit show.
Yeah, because there'd be no one there.
Yeah.
I can absolutely guarantee you our ball pit would be bigger.
And if there's one thing we are known for, it's the size of our balls.
Not the size. It's not the size that counts, Dave. It's the
Well,
quantity
we have
of
exactly
balls.
6, so that's not going to go so well.
You just broke it. You just broke it. We're not putting.
You
thumbs in
know,
it.
speaking of conventions, there was a convention this past weekend that I just heard about. I didn't even know it was happening.
Yeah.
Called like Gamer X, and it's GAY. Yeah,
Gamer
So
X.
apparently that was
Yeah.
a huge success, and that's cool to hear. So if you don't know what it is, it's the Gamer is spelled GAYMER. So it's a convention that's it's open for everybody to go and be themselves. So if you're homosexual, transgender, whatever, and it sounded like it went really well, and everybody had a great time.
Yeah.
So
So I wasn't there myself, but Vicky from Habit RPG, you remember her from back in December? She was there, and she said it was a lot of fun. And she was on Twitter just highlighting everything that was going on there, and it sounded like it was, pretty successful. It's really good to see in the gaming community these alternate points of views come across, because it can be a very male, heterosexual subculture. But you know what? There's lots of people of varying worldviews getting into gaming, and that's a good
definitely
thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for the hobby of video gaming, for it to become broader. And sounds like the conference was a success. And a lot of, I think it was Matt Weiner, who does the Saturday Morning Breakfast Cartoons webcomic, just said, it's a really big accomplishment to not feel gross after 3 days of a gaming convention. And I didn't feel gross even once. So
yeah. But
there
apparently
you go.
it might be the last year because of money and stuff. But I'm sure they'll probably kickstart and get get another one going next year. So good for them.
So So there was a good conference over the weekend too.
Was this thing open to hetero gamers too, or was it?
Yeah. There was actually they had
Yeah.
a lady who was there on Giant Bomb's podcast this week, and she said that she met just a regular straight male gamer who was there, and he said at first he felt a little weird walking in, but he said everybody was so nice and accepting that.
Well, what are you picturing, James? Are you picturing?
No, I was going to say I used to work club nights, and I would always pick to work on the gay nights just because they were so much less stress. You'd get so fewer people coming and puking in your lighting booth, and everyone would be nice. It's generally when you exclude the heteros, things go lovely.
Yeah, the whole point of this conference is acceptance, so they can't really exclude the heterosexual males, but a lot of heterosexual males wouldn't want to go.
Problems, they generally don't want to go if it's got gay people there.
Yeah, so sounds like it was good for straights and gays and everybody. So awesome, good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know what? There's no reason not to be inclusive when it comes to stuff like this. It sounded like it was a good conference for everyone, though, and there's a certain mentality among certain gamers who unfortunately are perceived to be the majority that everything needs to become less biased, and by less biased they mean everything needs to cater to my interests. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's kind of a weird worldview thing that's happened, and it's good to see that people are working to get outside that. Anyway, speaking of gaming, James, huge controversy. People think you're not a real gamer. One of our most successful episodes was called This Man Hates Games. I just had a picture of you there. This is your reputation. People think you hate games because every time we mention a game people generally like, you're quick to say, that's shit. So now you've promised you're going to tell us the top 3 games James Bruce actually likes, and I, for one, couldn't be more excited. James, what's actually good? Let's start at number 3.
I haven't just randomly decided to do this. I was actually asked by, who was it, Smarty? I think somebody called in to question my reputation, so I'm going to damn well tell you.
They said you gotta prove your gamer status.
It's been very hard to narrow it down to 3, actually, but okay. Bear in mind, right, that my computing experience, my gaming experience, began on like a 386 PC. You remember them 386s?
So you didn't have a console in your childhood.
I was not allowed to have a console in the house.
PC gaming. So Mario's not part of your nostalgia.
Generally,
Zelda,
no.
You don't have any particular connection to. Yours is like what, Duke Nukem? Like who are your childhood?
Okay, so look, in chronological order, right? And I looked up the dates after writing this because it appeared they were all 1995 to 1997, which is when I was 13 to 15 years old. So maybe that's
your era.
Maybe that's when I. So look, number 1, Command and Conquer, 1995, right? Along with Warcraft, the original Command and Conquer basically created the entire real-time strategy genre. And it had this so bad it's good plot with FMV cutscenes, which was one of the first games to do this, like full motion video stuff. The music was some of this finest, bleak, ambient techno ever made, and yeah, I loved it. And later I would kind of fall in love with Age of Empires 2, but that was one of these big new RTS genres, franchises. But nothing can ever quite displace your first love, right? Which is Command and Conquer for me.
Command and Conquer. Okay, I could see that. I still think you're right. It depends on the age. So did you play video games earlier than that when you were a kid? Because 12, 13, that's kind of old.
I did, but I wouldn't consider them so. I'm not really a big fan of those kind of retro games, which are like really primitive graphics and stuff. They didn't appeal to me. I had better things to do. Number 2.
Got it. So you weren't a gamer at the time. You became a gamer once you saw games you thought were interesting. So, okay, Command and Conquer.
Number 2, Duke Nukem 3D, 1996. Because...
Speaking of problems in terms of gender relations in gaming...
Well, it filled this curious void between, like, what I thought was kind of a primitive and boring Wolfenstein. I had played that. And this the revolution that later came along, which was Quake, which was stunning graphics, right? Duke Nukem was hilarious. It was fun. It had this real character. It was a big kind of fuck you to the sensibilities of SimCity and computing in general at the time. And being a 12-year-old boy, I found this French magazine full of Duke Nukem mods, which happened to have the Playboy mod on it. Which for a 12-year-old boy at the time was pretty much, the pinnacle of computing for me.
So wait, there were mods in a magazine? Like you'd have to type in the code, or like it had a CD, or how'd that work?
Yeah, it was like this, the French magazine. It was basically just a collection of stuff you could have downloaded from the internet. But one of these things they would feature in this month was like a Duke Nukem mod packs, which was pretty cool. I loved those magazines. They were awesome. And then like Quake came along and it changed the world, right? Which was...
So Quake blew Duke Nukem out of the water, in your opinion?
It did, but I'd still say... But if we're talking about favourites, Duke was still my favourite. And...
So what about the follow-up to Duke Nukem 3D?
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
Okay, moving right along. Are we number 3 then?
Well, I was going to say, I think Unreal Tournament 2004, it was difficult to say that or Duke, because Unreal 2K4, that still today kind of holds its own in terms of graphics and the AI bot mechanics, which was really cool. And I'm going to shock you for number 3.
You like... Okay.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
So far we got strategy, we got shooters. I mean, these are genres Dave and I generally don't spend a lot of time thinking about. So it makes sense that we disagree.
Well, I play Dota more than any other game, which is a strategy game.
That's a strategy game.
That's a weak strategy game. That's not what I would even call strategy game. That's just point and click.
Okay.
Anyway, number 3, right? I'm going to shock you, and I'm going to say Mario Kart 64.
Okay.
1997.
What?
Mario Kart 64.
No.
That's not even the best Mario Kart game.
Well, it was my first introduction to Mario Kart and to multiplayer gaming, actually, I would say, at large. And I have a special attachment to it because at my school, every Wednesday, we had this... I was at like a fancy grammar school and we could choose what to do for our sports options. So I had elected to do tennis in some private tennis grounds. along with some of my mates, right? And so every Wednesday after lunch, we would go home, fuck off doing tennis, and we would play Mario 64 and GoldenEye until like 5 o'clock. It was awesome, and it was my first real taste of multiplayer. I wasn't that keen on GoldenEye though, to be honest. It seemed like the core experience was just kind of lonely. Like you'd be wandering around for so long just trying to find someone, and you just every round you would have to turn on one of these random big head cheats or one-shot kills or something, just because the core experience was really quite boring.
You know the weird thing about the GoldenEye multiplayer?
Yeah.
I heard this recently. I mean, it was basically added in the last month of development without any permission from the company running the team. Just some guy just threw it into the code.
Whoa.
Like, it wasn't supposed to be part of the original game. It was just supposed to be a single-player campaign, and someone just threw it in at the last second. And that, I think, explains some of the loneliness.
Yeah, that would explain some of the loneliness. But
yeah. But it was one of the first shooters with on a console with 4 controllers, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what made it as big as it was.
But it just that wasn't that
Even
appealing.
though it did
Compared to Mario Kart. Mario Kart was so much fun. Other than that, games that stand out but not favourites, I would say Day of the Tentacle.
Yep.
Totally.
Point-and-click adventure, classic LucasArts title.
SimCity. Probably the original, the square, blocky Windows 3.11.
Yep.
Tribes, which was the first massively online multiplayer game with about 32 players, I think it was, with like huge maps. Sim Tower, I lost so many hours to Sim Tower. Capitalism, which was like this really obscure sim about running an entire business and was basically just an interactive spreadsheet. Sounds like fun, eh?
Yeah.
Privateer, which was a space pirate simulator. And the original Grand Theft Auto, the top-down PC-only one, which was so much fun. So, yeah.
So I gotta say, I just noticed that my video, completely spastic. I think it said something from the chat room across my face for about 15 minutes, which happens to be gays are horrible people too. So, yeah, maybe shouldn't have left the camera on. That's all I'm saying.
Huh?
Yeah, never mind. Sorry. Disrupted the flow.
I'm confused.
No, you know what? You'll see it in the YouTube version. Speaking of GoldenEye, I kind of looked like that famous glitch from that game for quite a while there. So that'll be fun footage for you guys. My camera turned off right before it, so yeah.
So can I have some proper graining cred? Do I get my reputation?
You know what? I think that sounds legit. I think that sounds.
You sound like a bro gamer to me.
Yeah.
What's a bro gamer?
You know, the kind of gamer that only plays Call of Duty and shooters.
Manly stuff.
Yeah, a bro.
Well, hang on. I only play games like Call of Duty now, just because I don't have time to screw around, losing like 8 hours at a time on Civilization, which I would love to do, and I still do sometimes, but
yeah,
you need something that's easy to pick up straight away, jump out of 20 minutes, and you can have a blast.
Well, and to be fair, I'm similar, but the games you played as a kid were shooters and strategy games. The games I played as a kid were platformers. So when I want that kind of experience, I pick up a platformer. You go for the shooter. I think, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Don't get me wrong. I had platformers. I had Commander Keen as one of my first games, but
Commander Keen.
I wouldn't have called it a favorite.
Oh man, the quality of platformers on the PC, I do not think was up to snuff with the consoles. Just gonna say.
Jake,
I'm gonna. Is that a
disagree.
controversial statement?
No.
It is.
I had both as a
Factual
kid,
statement.
and I would play the stuff on the PC when my brother was using the Nintendo. But the platformers on the Nintendo were better. I think that's not even debatable. I think, yeah, sorry, dude, you're wrong if you think I'm wrong.
Boom.
Hey, I played a Nintendo as a kid. I went over to my friend's house and played it, but it wasn't that good.
Okay, fine, whatever. Your childhood is superior to mine. Moving right along.
No, James...
I hope that puts some of this to rest. Do you think James is a real gamer? Let us know at the Technophilia or facebook.com/Technophilia podcast. Fill us in. We'll ask a little later.
I don't
Let's
think.
move
Wait,
on to
I don't think
giveaways.
anybody questioned whether or not James was a real gamer. The question is more the fact that, and not a question, really, just a statement of fact, is that his taste is bad.
But we've just proved it isn't.
Yep.
No.
Shitty indie game.
We've proved.
You don't get to comment on gaming ever again.
We've proved that your taste wasn't bad.
Well, that's fair enough.
When you played good games. Now, it
now
is
you
bad.
play terrible games.
But again, I would emphasize the point that you play Dota.
Dota, you know, you mean the most popular game on PC? That game?
I feel it doesn't make it good.
Liking what's popular is always the best way to know what's actually good.
Actually, it's the
right?
second most popular game behind League of
That's why
Legends.
The Big Bang Theory is the best television comedy of all
I love
time.
The Big Bang Theory.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's not the best
popular,
television
and
comedy of all
therefore
time.
But it's... Alright, fine. But Dota is also very good. But,
Okay.
And popular.
Those are different things, I'm saying. They're totally different things.
Well,
Think of
generally,
crap
when
and
it
still
comes to
popular.
video games, people don't play games that are bad. It's not like a
Madden?
TV show where like people are like, well, I'm invested in this character, so I'm going to keep watching it. If you play a game, it's because you enjoy it and it's fun. You know.
Yeah, but Dota strikes me more as like one giant psychological experiment where you're basically just being rewarded for clicking on things. That's what it reminds me of.
Well, I wish
like
I wish it was that easy. Maybe I'd be better at it even after 1,500 games or whatever. Maybe I still wouldn't suck. But yes, Dota is hard, and it is a little more than clicking on things.
Moving right along, we've got some giveaways at makeuseof.com you guys should check out. There's the Bridge Plus iPad keyboard is ending soon. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, these are ending in
MS
2 days, so
Surface
hurry up.
The MS Surface Pro 2.
Two.
There's the VidOn Android Blu-ray player and the MSI gaming laptop. We talked about them in the past. We're not going to do it again, but head to makeuseof.com, sign up for these giveaways so you have a chance to win. And we've got some new stuff coming up. We've got the Steel Series Stratus controller. What's this all about?
It's this right here. It's a
okay, check that out.
It's an iOS 7 game controller, so it's.
Oh, I was going to say it looks
connect
tiny.
to your-
I thought
Yeah,
it was going to be a big monster thing.
No, it's a little tiny thing that, you know, it's meant to fit in your pocket. The back can be removed, goes over it, and then it covers so you know you don't hit buttons in your pocket. It's got shoulder buttons on the top, face buttons.
So wait, this isn't one of those that you stick the phone into it.
No, so that's the main thing that's the benefit of this one. Like the Logitech one, you stick your phone in it and it docks it. This one can be used with iPad, so you just hold it in front of it like a normal controller.
So,
But then you have to
straight
prop
up
the
Bluetooth.
thing up, right?
Right, so you either need like an iPad case that has like a stand on it, or one of those iPhone cases with a kickstand, if you really want to make.
What do you play on the iPad that needs this?
I mean,
Are there games outside of emulators that use this?
That's the problem. Well, there is no emulators. That's the problem, though, is that there's not a lot of games for them. That's the main problem I pointed out in the review. But like the ports of like GTA, you know, like they're better with this than with and
it supports this? Like there's just generic support for Bluetooth?
No, the developers have to put it in. They have to put the support in. But there is Apple does have
this controller.
Well, not this controller, specifically for iOS controllers. There's that new thing that Apple started like with iOS 7 where they have like an API or whatever specifically for controllers. As long as the developers follow that, then the games that get that support will work. So that's the case with this and everything.
Cool. We also have on the site the Boise Bluetooth speaker.
The Bulls.
Being given away.
Bulls Bluetooth speaker from mybolts.com.
I thought that was mine.
Yeah.
It's the Bulls. I thought it was like the town in Idaho. Sorry. Okay, the Bulls Bluetooth speaker. James, you reviewed this one. How's it work?
Well, it's a Bluetooth speaker, so you connect to it via Bluetooth and then play stuff through it. But
I meant how does it sound?
How do I use it, James?
How does it work? You turn it on. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really good. It's this tiny little package. It's out in my kitchen. I can't get it. It's this tiny little package, and it has 2 stereo speakers and then this like bass cone in the middle. So it really like thumps out some mad bass. If you hold it, you can feel it like vibrating the whole thing. It's crazy. It's really good. It's really good quality sound for something like so small and so loud. So yeah, it's damn good. Get it.
You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Techno. You're listening to Technophilia. Listening to Technophilia. Technophilia. You're listening. Technophilia. Doing that.
Well, I don't know who assigned that arbitrary rule that you can't drink in the morning, but I say bullshit.
Should we move on to the news then? Or you got something else? We'll see. Get off the internet and get to work.
I'm too perfect anyway. I got nothing to fix.
You're listening to Technophilia. Keep doing that. Technophilia.
Beware of the mongoose.